So imagine this. Dante, after a long day of defeating demons and saving the world, retires to his store, Devil May Cry, in order to relax. But soon enough, he starts getting pretty hungry-mungry and orders himself up his usual pizza to quell the rumbles. Though sadly, his usual place is closed for some reason. Also, side note, Dante's usual place changes from game to game, but in Devil May Cry 3, the pizza joint that he normally orders from is called Popular Pages and Downloads Pizza, which is honestly one of the most adorable attempts of Capcom to include English text in their games when they're not entirely sure about it. Even though it's very clear that this was never intended to be read, I still love pointing it out. Thus, the son of Sparta needs to order from one of the chains in his area. Deciding on Domino's, he waits the 30 minutes and the doorbell rings, and Dante goes to meet his delivery boy. But then he notices he's got no money. He was seriously broke. But why? Well, the job he had just done hadn't paid out yet. But that's when it dawns on him. He still has all those red orbs he collected from doing his last job. They have to be worth something, right? So quickly, Dante rushes off to his closet to grab his surplus of spherical salary surprise sacrifices, but just how many would he need to pay off that pie? Well, that's what I would like to find out here. How many red orbs does Dante need to buy a Domino's pizza? So before we can figure this question out, first we must figure out what a red orb is really, and more importantly, what their real-world conversion rate would be. Also, I'd like to make it clear from the get-go that first, I'll be converting into USD just because it's simpler for myself and it's the currency that I know. Along with this, I won't be using Devil May Cry 4 or 5's DLC red orb packs as a way of determining these prices. Those are a little bit too meta for the idea I'm going for, but I think I'd be interested in looking at them at the end of the video to see if the value that they are offering works with my conversion rate. Okay, so first and foremost, what exactly is a red orb? Well, going off of their many descriptions in the series, they are crystallized demon blood, usually dropped by demons after they are slain, but sometimes they can be found pooled together into what are called red crystals or red fountains, though these constructs can be shattered into the proper orb form for currency's sake. Their purpose is to be offered as tribute to a goddess in exchange for skills or items. So clearly, if these orbs are good enough for a goddess, they are good enough for a pizza boy. Though back to finding the real-life value of red orbs. The best way to do this is to try to see if anything bought in-game has a real-world equivalent, and given the nature of the divinity statue and Devil May Cry protagonist as a whole, this actually isn't as easy at first glance, as most of the things for sale are magic alchemic stones or other orbs, all of which don't really have an easy to narrow down real-world equivalent, though luckily enough, Devil May Cry does have one item that we can use, this being holy water. Now, holy water is a screen-clearing item that Dante can purchase from the divinity statue since Devil May Cry 1. Except for in Devil May Cry 2 and 5. Its price varies a bit from game to game, but since Devil May Cry 3, it's sold for about 10,000 red orbs. Now, the item itself is described as water with a divine blessing, and the bottle itself, while decorative, appears to be intended to be around palm size, say for example a perfume bottle, or roughly 8 to 10 ounces, or 240 to 300 milliliters. So with that in mind, we need to find holy water in real life that is around that volume and see what prices it's being sold for so we know what we're working with. And with some quick searching around, I found out that holy water varies a lot in prices, but a bottle around the size that I assume Devil May Cry's holy water is, averages about $10 a bottle. So does this mean that we can say 10,000 orbs is equal to around $10? Well, no actually, that'd be too easy. And this is because when Dante and Nero actually buy items from the divinity statue, the cost of the items increase up to a specific cap, leading me to believe that the goddess is offering a discount of sorts. So if we want to actually find out the true price of holy water, we need to reach those caps, which ends up being around 30,000 or 20,000 in DMC4, which leaves me at a bit of a crossroads. So, I'm going to go with the 20,000 agreed price in both games, and just assume that the 30,000 price in Devil May Cry 3 was the goddess artificially hiking up the price for Dante, because he just kept buying up all our water. And hell, this could even explain why holy water is so dirt cheap in Devil May Cry 1. The goddess, thinking that Dante would just keep buying up her stock, ended up ordering a surplus, and once Dante went broke, she suddenly had a lot of extra that she needed to sell. So when Dante goes on another adventure years later, he takes full advantage of this and buys her out of house and home. This is why the item disappears from the item store, causing there to be no more holy water in Devil May Cry 2, and then in 4 when she returns with her new stock and asking price and starts marketing them fairly, some other white-haired asshole shows up and starts buying her out of her stock yet again, making her throw out the item wholesale in the 5th entry. But anyways, back onto the point of the video. We actually have a conversion rate now. 20,000 red orbs are equal to around $10 USD, or to make it simpler, 2,000 red orbs are equal to $1 in value. I call this the Holy Hydration Standard. Now, we need to determine how much Dante's pizza would be, which should be pretty easy as Domino's has some pretty standardized prices. So the average pizza from Domino's without anything on it comes out to roughly $13. But we clearly see that Dante isn't a plain pizza kind of guy, as in every game that we can see Dante eating pizza, it always has the same 2 toppings. In fact, since the release of Devil May Cry 5, we actually know Dante's preferred pie down to its recipe, this being a large pizza with pepperoni and jalapeno peppers as its topping. Thus, we had to factor these additions into the price of the pizza, and this hawks the price all the way up to $16.30. Now, doing the math, for Dante to be able to fully pay the pizza man, he needs about 32,600 red orbs, with an additional 6,520 orbs for a 20% tip, cause even demons know that you should tip your delivery boys.
I hope you all have enough to cover all this!
So to answer the question, Dante needs roughly 39,120 red orbs to fully pay off a single Domino's 2-topping pizza featuring Hatsune Miku. And honestly, with those red orbs, the pizza guy could fully max out his stinger skill, and a bunch of others. Also, I'm certain if worse comes to worse, there's some place to exchange those red orbs at for actual money. I mean, he found a place to quickly exchange his dollars for Maka and SMT3 Nocturne. Which, funny enough, if you go off the marketing and public image of Nocturne, Dante is seemingly is canon to the events of that story over an actual SMT character, which I find just kinda funny. Also, his cameo appearance requires you to know Devil May Cry 2 knowledge in order to not lose out on half of your money, which I think is hella cool. Though, let's look back at that DLC that I mentioned earlier and how accurate the dollars to red orbs transfer is. So, let's start with Devil May Cry 5, and how you can pay up to roughly $20 for 1 million red orbs. And using our Holy Hydration Standard, we can see that $20 is equal to about 40,000 red orbs, which is much smaller than 1 million. Sorry to break it to you. So, in this hyper-specific scenario in which you are trading money for red orbs, this is actually a pretty good deal, as Dante is essentially gaining $500 worth of value in red orbs by spending 20, using specifically the Holy Hydration Standard. Though DMC5 doesn't actually have holy water in it, but Devil May Cry 4 does, and Capcom did a similar DLC option. And this deal is so good that it might as well crash this fictional economy that we've created, this being $2 for 30,000 red orbs. That is a 150 times profit increase, or more specifically, that would be Dante paying $2 for $150 worth of profit, using the Holy Hydration Standard. Also, for those who are curious and know Dante's other main food of interest, the cost of a strawberry sundae, going off the McDonald's Sunday menu item, which costs around $1.50, would be about 30 red orbs. So for Dante to have a really good night, he would need around 40,000 red orbs. And with that all said and done, I hope you enjoyed this somewhat experimental video type. I honestly love when stories or games invent a currency for their world, be it either Zenny, Maka, or even just gold coins for immersion purposes. Especially when the creators spend time to add lore for the reasons why their characters would shift to these creations. I also find it fun to try to assign real-world value to it as if there was some sort of magical currency converter somewhere for these characters to use, as nerdy as that sounds. So, if you actually have any recommendations for future videos of this nature, be sure to tell me below. Specify either the currency or the universe you'd like me to take a look at. I originally planned this series to see how much a character would need in a specific universe's currency to buy a McDonald's Big Mac, but I started with Dante, so it'd be sacrilegious not to have him go after something like pizza. But if you're dying for the Big Mac question to be around 8,000 red orbs. And if you enjoyed this video and want to see more videos like it in the future, I have a Patreon at patreon.com/MedyNotTheBadGuy. Patreon is a very helpful website that helps keep this channel flowing as smoothly as it does, so every little bit helps. And if you want to buy something with your Red Orbs, well, you see, there's this little series called Shimonetta, a boring world where the concept of dirty jokes doesn't exist, at buyshimonetta.com that you can spend all of your Red Orbs on.